hello, Sydney, Australia! It is great to be here tonight. So, dating. Dating is one of my favorite topics ever. I am a very happily single woman, and I have been I have been single a lot longer than I've ever been married, and I truly enjoy dating. I know you don't hear a lot of people say that, but I really do enjoy dating. So through the years, I have been on the internet dating for ever since maybe Match.com started, but I have met some of the most interesting, most wonderful people that of course I would have never met in my small town. And we're still friends today, most of them, and I have been thrilled that that's been an outlet for me. But along the way, I have certainly kissed my share of toads. My girlfriends think that I should publish my findings, and my guy friends that hear about the theory say, why in the hell didn't you tell me that years ago? So I thought I would prepare a talk, and in the meantime, it would also give all of you guys an opportunity to hear some tips and tricks and theories that I've come up with along the way. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the initial meeting. And I think that this should happen fairly quickly. And there's a couple reasons why I say that. Because anybody, I've discovered the hard way, anybody can be anybody online. And they can be a Romeo and everything. And then you finally get together, and it's not like that. So instead of using that emotional energy, you need to go ahead and set up that initial meeting. And this way you can see if that third party shows up for that meeting. And that third party is chemistry. And you will not know until you meet them in person. So what I always suggest we do is go to the pool hall. And there's several reasons for that. First of all, it's set up for fun. And you don't have to sit right across the table and carry on a conversation. And so that's one thing. Another thing is that you can tell a lot about a person. Like you can tell a lot about their personality. You can get a big soundbite about how they win or lose. And not only that, you can check out their ass. And so that's exactly, and remember they can check yours out as well. Don't forget about that part. So the real reason I like to go to the pool hall, if I'm going to be honest, is that I like to see how a man chalks his stick. Now, what do I mean by that? There's only two types of guys, what I've noticed in all these years. There's a guy who really doesn't care that much about pool. He's probably not very good at it. And he's just kind of out there for the casualness of it all. And so here's how he chalks his stick and shoots. Okay? That's the first guy. And then every once in a while, you get this guy. And this guy takes his time chalking the stick. And then baby comes over while he kind of gets in your personal space while he's chalking his stick still. And then he bends to take his shot, and he's down there, and then he shoots. Now, which one of those guys do you think I want to go out with again? Like tomorrow night? So consider the pool hall for your first date. The next thing I want to discuss is baggage. And we are all products of our past, that's for sure. But I got to tell you something. Did somebody's phone really just go off? Somebody's phone, you guys actually, your phone actually went, no, is it really? All right, so here's the thing that every time a phone goes off in a quiet area like that, this is so funny, I always think about roadkill. And the reason why I think about roadkill is because you know how you're driving down the highway and you see this giant roadkill up ahead and you think to yourself, God in heaven, what is that? But you don't want to look at the roadkill. So I don't. So I keep going like this and I'm like, don't look, don't look, don't look. You get closer and it's in your peripheral vision. Don't look, don't look, don't look. And then when you get up on it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a deer. Same thing happens when I hear a cell phone go off like that. I always think to myself, don't look, don't look, don't look. Oh my gosh, you forgot to turn your cell phone off. So the next time you see a roadkill or the next time somebody's phone goes off, I bet you'll be thinking about me. But anyway, back to the baggage. Your divorce will never be as important to your date as it is to you. And that person also does not need to hear it or want to hear it. So it's something that you need to make sure it's raw and it's hard for you. I know that, but you don't need to bring it to your date. So one of my favorite questions to ask when I go on a date is, tell me your story. And I do this even with, I love to do it with cab drivers and waitresses and clients. What is your story? Tell me your story. And it's almost like nobody ever does that. So it gives you this huge opportunity to learn a lot about them at one time. But I made the mistake of saying this to Darren about 5-7 years ago. And I said, so Darren, tell me about you. What's your story? He takes a deep breath and he starts with, I don't hate my ex, I am indifferent. And I think to myself, you must have heard that on Dr. Phil. So he says it about 3 more times. He goes through his whole thing about how he can't even pick his kid up at school anymore because his ex got that rearranged and now this and that. He goes on and on. And then I had long ago stopped doing uh-huh. You know, when you say uh-huh, that means continue, continue. I stopped saying uh-huh. And I started hearing Charlie Brown's teacher talking wah-womp, 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 wah-womp. And I looked straight through him. And then it got fascinating, really, really fascinating. I was like, wow, this is still going on. And 54 minutes later, I shit you not, 54 minutes later, he literally runs out of things to say. He runs out of things to say. And so then he tilts his head to the side. He said, you know, I always bring wine to the first date, or always order wine, because you can learn a lot about a woman after a couple of glasses of wine, can't you, Claire? And he gives me that air elbow. And I look at it, he said, so, what's your story? And I said, well, Darren, I would love to tell you, but you have literally sucked all the oxygen out of this room. And what is left is going to be required for me to get the hell out of here. I'm going to have to do the fireman's crawl as it is to get the oxygen that's still down low. And I know that the friends who know me know that if I had not had on a really cute outfit, just for shits and grins, I would have gotten on my elbows and crawled out of that restaurant. Just remember, it's not that important to them. Now, the marshmallow theory. The marshmallow theory has been a big hit, and I've been able to test it quite a few times with other friends, that is. So I had to discover where this really started. And years ago, I was dating a guy, and we were having a really good start of a relationship. And so he says, what do you want to do today? I said, well, it's beautiful. It's a fall day. Let's go out. Let's go hike, and let's go roast marshmallows and wieners. And so we did. We get out to the campfire, and he starts a fire without matches and without a lighter. Now, I'm just going to tell you something. That's not something you guys have to learn how to do, but I'm still talking about it years later. And you know what I call that? I call that foreplay. But he starts the fire, and I'm over there. Now, I love roasted marshmallows. I absolutely love them. So I'm over there, and I'm getting started with my marshmallows, and I'm not even, the fire's not really ready yet. But he's over there, and he's still stoking the fire, and he's still working on it. And then I look at him, and he's leaning in, and he's going, he's checking the heat on the fire. Then he surgically skewers the marshmallows. And then he goes back. It's ready. Then I long ago stopped roasting my marshmallows and started watching him. So he leans in, perfect, timed rotisserie. And I don't know if you know this, but those little marshmallows that we had back then, and I can't imagine the ones now, but those little guys will turn to the size of a tennis ball. I did not know that until this night. So he has these beautiful marshmallows going, and I'm like, I am just in awe. And so he's continuing, and then all of a sudden he scorches the top corner, not even burns it, but scorches it, and he flings those beauties into the fire. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, I can do better. And so he surgically skewers the next two, leans in, and then he starts roasting. And what seems like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 minutes, he is still, and those babies turn from white to off-white to alabaster this size. It was unbelievable. I was like, and then he does the most incredible thing, ladies. He gets up from the fire. Now, no hands required. He's strong. So he gets up from the fire, and he walks just like he's walking on a tightrope. He comes around the fire to me, he bends down, and he presents me with these alabaster, puffy pillows of perfection. And I took a bite of that marshmallow, and when I did, the marshmallow went poof. I swear it did. It just went poof. And so I thought to myself, that is the best marshmallow I've ever had in my life. Well, it turns out we roasted more than marshmallows that night. And it turns out that he was just as good a lover as he was a marshmallow roaster. So I thought there may be something to this. So fast forward a few years, hitting it off pretty well with another guy. So he says, what do you want to do? It's a beautiful spring day. Let's go hike. Let's go roast marshmallows. Sure. We get out to the fireside, and he uses a lighter to start the fire. And I know that's not fair to him, but anyway, he lights the fire. And then he uses the method that I call the char house grill. And he goes, burn it, blow it out, burn it, blow it out, burn it, blow it out. And it turns out that's exactly how he was in bed too. Burn it, blow it out, burn it, blow it out. And so I just remember, as I was pulling away, I just remember saying, thank you, Ted, for getting me one toed closer to my prince. So I started thinking, how can I go ahead and get to this right away without me having to go through all this emotional energy and spend 2 or 3 months getting to know somebody and that kind of thing. So at the pool hall, I start saying, what are your 2 favorite things on this entire planet? You know, you're getting to know each other. And I never hear what they say because I can't wait for them to ask me what my 2 favorite things are. And every time he'll say, what are your 2 favorite things? And I'll say, I love a perfectly ripe watermelon. And I absolutely adore roasted marshmallows. And I'll say, do you like roasted marshmallows? And he'll say, well, yeah, who doesn't? And I'll be like, well, how do you like your marshmallows roasted? And he says, oh, I burn them and blow them out. So I go over here and finish up my drink. And then I look at my watch and I'm like, oh my goodness, my son just texted our bunny rabbit died. I'm going to have to head home. So you might want to consider doing this a little bit early into the relationship, figuring out about the marshmallow theory. I have checked it with a lot of girls, a lot of guys, and now I know every guy in this room is going to start roasting those marshmallows to the size of tennis balls. I know that for a fact. So a few hacks that you need to know. First of all somebody's phone did go off, and you know what I thought about? Roadkill. So anyway, the first hack that I wanted to talk about was just be honest in your pictures. I'll tell you what, ladies, I am a huge lover of art, but some of your selfies are nothing short of a masterpiece. I am telling you, I can't even believe what I see. I've got girlfriends that can teach me to put my jaws in and smile, and then you take the picture from way up here. Well, you never meet anybody from way up here, by the way, especially when you're as tall as I am. So you never meet anybody up here, but there's apps on the phone now that can actually make a 250-pound woman look like a Barbie doll. And she puts it on Match.com or wherever she happens to be. Well, she thinks that I've got this great personality, my eyes are pretty, and I think that it's going to be fine. So she sends a picture that is 11 years ago and 45 pounds ago. And what happens is, when you meet him, if you watch really closely, his eyes will glaze over. Unless you're in denial, then you won't say it. And you'll sit there, and I'm from the South, so men are going to sit there, and they're going to sit through it. But he will not call again. You put him in an awful, awful position, and you put a glass wall up when you decided to send that picture. That is so not true. And then you started a relationship with a lie. And there's really no place to go except down from there. So be honest in your pictures. And guys, let me tell you this. We need to see you from closer than 250 yards out with a hat on. You've got to get your girlfriends or your sisters or your coworkers that you can trust, get them to help you with your profile. Oh my God, you make my head hurt sometimes, your profile. And then you put a thing in there, I'm just an average guy. Now, who wants to go out with an average guy? It's like I tell my boys, average is just as close to the bottom as it is the top. So take that sentence out of your profile. Two, the next thing I want to talk about is get in shape, at least some form of shape. Get busy, get physical. And I'm not saying you have to look like a muscle man, but I am saying this. If you are on the market and you look like you don't take care of yourself and you don't take care of yourself, what's going to happen when I take you off the market? You end up in the recliner and you have some of my good Southern cooking. There is no fortune teller required here. So think about, you've already been on the divorce diet. You've probably lost 15 or 20 pounds, right? So just get in the gym. There's another reason to do it. You feel so much better. It's true. Everything you read and hear about it, you feel so much better when you're physical. You feel better mentally and you feel better physically. And you're dating. You're going to be seen naked by somebody that you didn't know eventually, even if you wait till you're married. So get physical. The next thing I want to talk about is being bold. Do things that you never thought you'd do to get results that you never thought you would have. So here's the goal for you. You want to be so bold and do things that are so much fun that your ex says, he would never do that kind of thing with me. That's where you want to be. Now, my baby brother and I were in a dance bar years ago, and there was a girl across the bar who was just dancing on her stool. Oh, she was having a big party, greasing the stool up. And I guess her girlfriends were on the dance floor. And so I hit my brother and I said, go for it, Barry. Barry walks boldly all the way across the bar, and it's loud. So he leans in and he said, would you like to dance? And she stops, just stops on the stool. And she says, no. He leans back in and he says, what do you think I said? And she said, you asked me if I wanted to dance. And he said, no, I said you look fat in those pants. And then several years ago, 15 maybe, I was at a birthday party and there was a guy across the room, and I tell you, the chemistry was so strong that I could feel him all the way across the room. And so my girlfriends and I were always betting each other and playing jokes on each other anyway. And I said, I'm going after him. So I go up to the bar where he's sitting, and I acted like I had to get a drink. And so I accidentally bumped him. I said, well, hey. And he said, hey. And I said, you don't remember me, do you? And he said, oh, I would remember you. Now, that's a good comment, by the way, guys. But he said, I remember you. And you could see him doing that Rolodex, that mental Rolodex. And I'm going to tell you what, I was cute back then, too. So he's doing this whole mental Rolodex thing. And then I said, you told me you weren't drunk that night, you son of a... And I turned to walk away, and when I did, he grabbed my elbow, and he says, now I know you're messing with me because I don't drink. Number one, the only time I've ever been drunk is on my 40th birthday, when my friends were buying shots, and I was just with my friends. I have never met you. I would remember. And because of that boldness, I had one of the greatest relationships of my entire life. It was absolutely one of the best love affairs ever. We traveled together. We had such a great time. And the only reason that ever came about was boldness. And I know that some of you have a little tougher time with it than others, but I'm telling you, do something that you never thought you would do to get results that you never thought you'd get. The next thing I want to talk about is safety. And it's going to appear that I'm telling this to the women, but I'm not, because I have talked to many men through the years. And women are some psychos out there. So I always suggest, and I promised my brothers years ago, that I would use my middle name. And that way when the phone rings and somebody asks for Claire, I already know that it's about a date too. But if you came to my town and you looked for Claire, you would not find me. You might find me if you use my name, my full name. And I even put on the profile that I use my middle name until I feel safe. And if a man doesn't understand that, or if they want to have a little bit of an attitude about it, they're just really not my man. And that has happened a couple of times through the years. They think I'm playing a game. But safety is very, very important. I do not tell them what car I'll be driving. I go to it's coffee, pool, drinks. It's never a dinner because that takes too long if it's not going to be a good exchange. So do something initially like that. Also, it's important to remember that these guys, the women, the things that I see come through, This one guy told his girlfriend of 3 weeks where he worked. She sent him a box after he put her on skates. She sent a box to his work about yay big, and he's digging through it, didn't know who it was from, digging through it, the shipping things. And when he's digging through, there's shard glass in there. She was trying to get him to cut his hand. That is psycho. And then I had another guy that told me that his girlfriend, or the girl that he dated, called the HR person at work and said, Johnny has been smoking weed with me. You need to have him checked. Now, that is his livelihood. That is some psycho nut bitch right there. So you really need to think about it, not just the men, but the women as well. You need to be thinking along those lines. Always do safety. Ladies, let me tell you this. Men love to take care of us, but there is nothing sexy, and never will be anything sexy, about you having too much to drink and them having to hold your hair so you don't blow dinner chunks into it. So if you're drinking too much, think about this. Do you have a drinking problem? Do you not know how to drink? Or are you too nervous and it's just not time for you to be out there yet? So think about that. And then, ladies, here's another thing that I need for you to do. I need for you to stop this whole, I'm strong and I don't need a man, I just want a man and I'm independent. You are ruining it for the rest of us. These guys, your women's lib bullshit is ruining it for the rest of us. Because I really can buy my own dinner, and I do it all the time, but it is so nice to have somebody buy my dinner and my drinks. It's really a nice thing. And then I think to myself, if you have to tell somebody that you are that strong or that independent, you might not be. And if you are so strong and that so independent, then why don't you buy both your dinners and both your drinks? But leave the rest of us out of it. Poor guys don't even know whether to shit or wind their wristwatch at this point, especially the guys in the South. So the next thing I want to discuss, men, we know you have a penis and we know you have a chest. That is part of the reason why we're going out with you in the first place. But I got to tell you, we do not need to see that till way down the road. So when you are feeling frisky and you think that it's a good idea to send a picture through text, and it always starts the same way. Hey, do you have any sexy pictures? No, I don't. And he says, well, after a few minutes, he writes back and says, well, I got a couple. I don't reply. And then he says, would you like to see them? I said, yes, I would. So he sends the picture through, and as soon as he sends the picture through, I delete his immature ass from the phone, and then I start a group text with all my girlfriends, and I show them the picture that I just got. And guess what? That woman who keeps that picture is also the same woman who is the selfie expert. And she just sent you a picture that was 11 years and 45 pounds ago, and she's getting ready to kick your damn teeth in. So I'm telling you, I'm begging you, stop it with the porn poses, please. And the last thing that I want to tell you about is to just relax and have fun with this. Stop thinking about a partner for life. Stop thinking about, is this the one? Think about this. Am I about to make a new friend? Am I about to learn something about a career that I never knew anything about? Everybody's got something fun. Everybody's got something cool. Everybody's got something cool about them, and you can learn all that from them. So what I do right before I go on a date, maybe a couple hours before, I'll send a note and I'll say, Dear Daryl, I am so looking forward to meeting you for the first time and getting to know your heart and having a great time tonight. No pressure, okay? And you know what? Maybe we'll end up friends no matter what. So let's have a great time. See you at 7. So see, that is a pretty good thing to do before a date, to kind of let go of the whole seriousness of it all. And then I'll send a P.S. past that, and I'll say, P.S., how do you like your marshmallows roasted? Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Carpe diem, Sydney!